I bought a bass head one time, and it had a bunch of cocaine like stashed in top of the. I bought another a guitar amp one time, and somebody stashed a bunch of dope in there, a bunch of marijuana in there, dude. It was like when I was a kid, dude. I was like, what the.
Hey, everybody, what's happening? I'm Kevin McLaughlin, and this is
Paul Robertson, and this is the
Riffs and
Rhythms Podcast.
We always rehearse that perfectly.
That's right, yeah. Hey, this is a new year. This is part of our New Year's resolutions.
We vowed to think about rehearsing this year.
Think about rehearsing, not say doing it.
Yeah, that's crass and unnecessary.
Yeah. So here we're in the new year, and
in 25, success will arrive in 25.
Right. So we lived through the New Year's Eve.
The New Year's Eve debauchery downtown Fort Pierce.
And
well, we did.
We survived in 2025.
We're still alive in 25.
That's right. Yeah.
Brad, the poor thing, turned 40.
And somebody else's birthday was just happened as well too.
Oh.
Right, yeah. How was the Rock and River Walk?
It was great. Millions of people showed up. It was the rescheduling of my album release party.
Oh, cool.
Because what happened was my album came out in May of last year. And right in the end of May, I was scheduled to play at the Rock and River Walk. So we were going to make it my album release party. And, of course, it got canceled due to weather. And so we stopped at the poster store on the way there, and we were going to have an after party at the Sneaky Tiki. And so we bought some posters, and on there we wrote "Party moved to Sneaky Tiki." And so everyone came over to the Sneaky Tiki. The place was shoulder to shoulder all day. It was awesome.
Dude. Nice.
Yeah.
That was a very off the chain of that place.
That was off the chain, absolutely. And the weather, just so you know, it was a severe weather day. So severe that we actually, during the event, we got free ice cubes from the sky.
Mm-hmm. It hailed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hail. It did.
Hail that big.
Wow.
I just was like...
I'm standing there, and I'm like, who the fuck is throwing ice?
Well,
and then I was like... And I got hit in the back. It was like, it was some big chunks.
So last Sunday was the rescheduling of my album release party, and it went well. We sold out of T-shirts... Sold off all of the autograph stuff that I got. Everybody went crazy. It was awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've had people throwing their bras at me and stuff.
Oh, wait. Is this breaking news? Breaking news.
Am I the one who's giving the breaking news? No.
So.
Okay. Okay. Breaking news.
No,
I'm breaking the news, right? Okay. So This just in. Well, actually, about a week ago.
This just in.
At the end of 2024, the announcement was made. There is a music streaming service online called Play Itty, and the blues just got bigger. The Kevin McLaughlin Band takes the crown for 2024. Play Itty names Ella, the Kevin McLaughlin Band, the most viewed video of 2024, produced by DJ Gary of Sonic Vibe. And nearly 60,000.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
The world's newest streaming platform, playitty.com, powered by Spotify and YouTube. So, it says here, dive into the soulful sound of Ella and experience why this band is changing the game for unsigned artists everywhere. You can see that on my Facebook wall.
Very cool. Well, congrats there.
Yeah, thank you. And in celebration of this new year and of my placement on Play Itty, I want to give Paul a present.
Oh.
A little bit of emergency rum for you.
Oh, well, thank you. Bacardi and very good.
Bacardi
and
Dark.
I actually do like the gold. So
yeah, see, I thought so.
So that's what actually one. I had a whole conversation with somebody recently about saying the same thing.
In case of emergency, crack top.
That's right.
It's an emergency right now.
Right there. Let's go.
Rock on.
That's a celebrate. It's a celebrate. There.
Happy 2025.
That's right. Happy 2025.
And speaking of 25.
Oh yeah. Did you finish up your Riff, the other bottle that I gave you for Christmas?
I drank some of it. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest again.
That's right. Yeah, we forgot to introduce
Mr. Tim O'Donnell.
We're just throwing him booze.
Just hand him a bottle of booze. Yeah, have a sip.
There you go.
It's
It's got a little kick apparently.
had a delayed reaction on me. We'll see what it does to you. Yeah, see?
Wow. Yeah.
It's got like a couple seconds before blast off.
About a couple seconds before blast off. It's like untanned leather.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. So yeah, Kevin had the same
Untanned.
reaction.
That's the name of
Yeah.
a Florida band.
Yeah.
Untanned.
Untanned
Oh,
leather.
there you go.
Untanned leather. Ooh,
So
that's
yeah.
code for something, I'm sure.
So hey, this would be a great sponsor for the podcast, obviously, right? It's in the name.
Yeah. New Riff Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
New riff in rhythms. We could change it. I don't
New riff and old rhythms.
care. I'll whore myself.
We got to
out.
get a new rhythms rum.
We could, maybe that's what we should do in 2025 is get into the spirits business. Everyone's getting into it. It's apparently
might as
everyone's
well.
getting into writing books too. That's also another whole thing too. I think you should sit down and write a book about. Probably got some stories.
I couldn't
yeah,
sell a
you'd be
book big
surprised.
enough to pay for the lawsuits.
You get somebody to kind of embellish. So, well, we're learning a lot of these stories through this podcast, actually. So, but enough about us. Again, want to welcome Tim back to the podcast here. So how was your New Year so far?
It's been great. It's been great. We had a simple gig, one of those New Year's gigs that gets done at 10.
Nice.
Very cool.
Nice.
I like those.
So,
I've had one of those.
Shoot on home and get to kiss the wife and hug the puppies and watch the fireworks in the neighborhood. So
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, I had a gig like that. I played at Ocean Village one year.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
This was
gig.
many years ago. It was back when the bar was still called the Ocean Village Bar or whatever it was. And so playing a jazz gig, doing jazz standards. This was many years ago. And
Thank you.
they roll out. They had this big clock, like it was like a 4-foot tall round clock. And they're like, "We're getting ready for midnight." And I noticed it was like 10 minutes to 12, and I'm like, "Wow, this gig is flying by. This is awesome." So like we count down to midnight. I tear down. It was a jazz gig, so we had almost no equipment. So I tear down 10 after 12. I'm walking out to the car with my single trip, and I was feeling really bad because I was. Very rare I ever get invited to a New Year's Eve party because everybody at that time knew I was working. There was no point in inviting me. Lifetime family friend. So I buzz from Ocean Village in Fort Pierce all the way out to Port St. Lucie and go sit down and order. He had built a bar in his house. He's he was a very high level carpenter.
Okay.
Had just built a whole new wing on his house to house this awesome bar, as good as any bar you've ever been to. And so I sit down and I order a drink, and I'm like, "I'm so sorry I missed it, guys." And they're like, "Missed what? What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Well, I missed midnight." And they're like, "Dude, it's 10:30.
That's awesome. Those gigs are the best, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have to do the whole thing and the whole other thing and then the other thing and then everybody. So nothing wrong with that, but yeah, it's just
Yeah, New Year's Eve is a new kind of animal. It's not like it was.
not like it was.
way in the
well,
day.
most venues now, like most gigs I do, like they're not even after 9 anymore. Remember doing last call at like 11 or like 1:30, 2 o'clock at every bar we used to play at. Now it's like you get like my late gigs are like 6 to 9 now.
Yeah, and then back in the early '90s, we would go play in Palm Beach, and you'd start at 10 p.m.
It was 3 o'clock down there.
There was a 5 o'clock county. We would play from 10,
that's right.
11, 12, 1, 2. We'd play till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And then
Easy.
sometimes I would go back to Rio and play the after hours club and play from 3 to 5.
Jeez. Rebecca and I were in New Orleans one year, and we had it was in the Market District. I wish I could remember the name of this place. Anyway, we had like a little resident gig there, and it was an 11 to 2 gig, and then Frenchman Fest started, and we went and played with Sam from Honey Island down on Frenchman Street, and the gig started at like 3. It was 3 in the morning. The gig started. And I was
Yes.
like, "What are we doing here?" I was like, "Yeah." I think that was right around my 40th birthday. I was like, "I can't live in this town, dude. This is like a 20-year-old town."
How old
dude.
am I?
I can't live in this town, dude. Like,
But back to your original point, now the shows are 6 to 9 p.m. It was like,
Yeah.
If this was Miami, they wouldn't even be done putting their shoes on to leave the house.
There's a hard cutoff at 10 now.
It's so crazy.
At a lot of the cover bars I frequent, usually it's midnight or 1.
Yeah, so crazy.
Midnight.
Yeah.
I get home and I'm like, what do I do now? Like I still got 3 hours to go.
Yeah, I remember the Refuge when I was a kid with Tommy DeStefano. It was like every night, like 1:45 was last call.
Yeah.
I had a resident Thursday there with Tommy, and then that was also, remember when they would do gigs and you'd be able to play the whole weekend at the same place?
I do remember.
You didn't have
that.
to tear down
Yeah.
every night. It was killer. It was like they'd give you the whole weekend. Sometimes you get a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You set up, did a killer sound check, and you played all 3 days. Friday, you just showed up 15 minutes before the gig.
Back in, I'm old enough to have
Remember
been
that?
in a house band where,
Yeah.
like, we would play 4 nights a week in the same club every week.
Every week. I remember getting gigs in the Keys, and you'd go down to the Keys. It was like a 5, 6, 7 day run.
But that's the thing that's different now. Everybody wants a different band every night.
Yeah.
But the thing that happens in your club when you have the same band all the time is that you get momentum.
Yeah.
The people who don't like that band weed themselves out, and the people that do tell their friends, and they come all the time.
Especially when it's tourists.
And the crowds build and they build and they build and they build, and they
Yeah.
stay and they come back.
If you nail it the first night and it's tourist and they're there for like the next few days, they remember having a good night.
Yeah.
Thursday, they're coming back Friday.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing that just
It's
doesn't
fun.
happen anymore.
Yeah.
So speaking of the Keys, we've got to plan some stuff out for this year, actually, because the Rum Festival again will be in August.
I want to try and be a part of that.
Yeah,
this
we
time.
want to. We got to sit down now, whether it's part of the festival directly, or because Jesse Rice is playing again this year, or tagging on to somebody's like rum event or something. Naughty Beach is actually the shirt I'm wearing tonight is they're a Southwest rum brand, and they're going to be down there. So we should probably try to, like I said, really seriously sit down, talk with Brad as well to kind of do a lot of crossover stuff and good content.
Well, in keeping with the slogan for this year, success will arrive in 25. We're going to be doing more and bigger music festivals, which we're going to need you for.
I'd love to get on some of those.
We're going to
And
be
you-
doing some remote appearances down in Key West
Yep.
and possibly over on the
You're
west
going
coast
out of the
Florida.
country. You're going out of the country.
I'll be going out of the country. Won't be long. I've leaked it on this and a few other spots on my insider newsletter that I'll be doing a solo tour of the UK this year.
Sweet.
Yeah, very cool. Hopefully. But it'll just be me and Tracy against the entire UK,
There you go.
and with an acoustic guitar as our
There you go.
defense.
That's killer.
Hopefully, it'll go well.
They seem to like American music over there.
Well, the whole thing is, and you can relate to this because you talked about this last week. When I started playing guitar, I had some super hip guitar teachers, and most notably Mr. Richard Mack, who turned me on to the English wave of guitar players. Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, Gilmore.
Back in the day, playing with Lapa.
Playing
with Lapa.
Playing with Lapa.
Richie was awesome,
Richie
dude.
was
I
awesome.
miss that guy so bad.
So,
dude.
like Blues Breakers and like all of this stuff. Gary Moore, who's from Ireland. I know it's not the UK. Relax. I am interested, and I'm really excited to like take what those guys, because they revitalized American blues.
Oh,
right?
Sure.
Turned it into something brand new and then gave it back to us. And that's when I found out about it. And then, which I got to delve deep into my own American blues history. And now I've melded the two, and I'm going to bring my version of it back to the UK,
That's
which is
cool,
really
man.
cool.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's so cool, Kevin.
So it's a chewed up piece of gum that's been chewed up
Yep,
by
it's-
multiples.
Pre-masticated musical styles being spit across the pond.
Nice. So there's definitely you got to keep an eye on him going to the UK and
One of the things I'm most excited about is all of the people that are in the know have told me you've never heard a Marshall until you've heard it being played on the electricity it was made for.
Yeah, like the right plug.
Yeah.
The little two-prong.
230 volts.
230 volts.
Yeah. So there's a couple of Marshall shops in London, and I want to have a big wad of cash. I'm going to have a few heads shipped back if I can get to it.
Does the frequency make a difference
Yeah,
It does.
When you're talking about old school transformers, they are only as good as the power you feed them. And in the United States, we have half the voltage. So twice as much voltage into a transformer that weighs as much as a small Tesla. Really, twice as much power going into that thing. I've got to imagine they're just glorious.
Yeah.
So since we're talking electricity here, so you guys have performed somewhere in the west coast of the U.S. before?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the question I ask is, all right, it's 120, household typically, but on the West Coast, a lot of the electricity is generated and distributed through DC. Did you know that?
Really?
No, really? Well, like as originally intended.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The only problem with DC is it doesn't transfer over long distances. That's why they switched to AC.
Needs
Right.
giant
Yeah. So there
wires.
is DC. There's still DC power in the West Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, everything
Yeah.
runs on DC power.
Yeah.
Everything. AC power was utilized because it handles the resistance of long distance lines better.
Yes.
It doesn't get lost and turn into heat. And you can run AC power at super high voltages so that it overcomes the resistance of the lines that it's going through.
all right. Well, speaking of AC/DC, great hard rock blues influence band here, right? So
Back in black. I hit the sack.
wow.
You're opening the door. I don't have the handle. What are we talking
No,
about?
I don't know. I didn't know Brian Johnson joined us
missed
there
it.
and drop in
So
on
it
the
wasn't hardly Brian Johnson. It was
Yeah.
it's like Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
How about a good first gig, right? Well, for his first show playing with AC/DC, I think it was like 40,000 people.
Heck yeah, what a gig, huh?
Yeah, hey, we're going to do an album. You want to come sing with us? All right, I'll do it.
That's
Yeah,
gotta
here's
be
this new guy.
That's
Yeah.
gotta be an adrenaline.
That's got to be. I mean,
Rush.
what kind of ego do you have when your first national recording sells? It's the biggest selling studio album of all time.
All right, let me ask the question then, because I know you're very critical about what constitutes a tribute band, cover band, and an original type band. Where do you place AC/DC? What is the threshold of considering it not a original band and a cover band or a tribute band?
with Brian Johnson. Is that what
Well,
you mean? Or-
I guess is there a percentage of original members? Let's say Kiss.
Yeah, well-
50-50, right?
Yeah.
So you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a
That's a tough one.
In all subjects, I think of everything like it's not black and white. It's just a wide gray spectrum all the way from white to black, and everything in the middle does count. So, what is AC/DC? They don't have their original drummer, but the drummer that they've had has been with them for decades.
yeah.
They don't have their original rhythm guitarist, but they've got his nephew. They've got their original lead guitarist. They have their original bass player. They don't have their original singer, but he's been with them since the 80s.
Long time.
So, like at this point, I would call them not a tribute act.
They're not a tribute act.
Except for when Axl Rose fills in, right?
No, even then.
Yeah.
But I like the
You
way
know
they
that?
played it up because he had a broken
Yeah.
foot at the time,
Yeah.
so they made him a big rock and roll throne.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I-
put it on hydraulics and moved it around.
I'm not partial to Axl Rose myself.
Yeah, he's not. I'm not a big fan of him.
I'm not a big fan. So when Axl Rose is there, I'm definitely not
Yeah.
going to that show.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gone to that show either.
But anyway, but I mean, yeah, they're all badass. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. You see, I remember, like we did a festival in Rhode Island. It was hot tuna.
Yorma Carconen.
Yeah. So Yarmer was there, and was it Cassidy on bass? Jack Cassidy.
Oh, Jack Cassidy, was it?
Yeah, Jack Cassidy was there, and they had a different drummer, and that was legit to me. But then we did another show with BTO,
Oh, wow.
and all it was Randy Bachman, and it was kind of like, I don't know. And he was getting up there in years, and if I have any advice for any young budding singers, don't sing too high when you're young because you're not going to be able to do it when you're old. So start down here, and that way you can maintain that when you're in your 40s and 50s. And that's what I would say to you. Because he
Right.
like all the songs were just so low keyed, and he couldn't get up there, and then the
Yeah.
band wasn't there, and I just felt like it was flat. I
It's
felt like-
hard to go and watching a lot of 80s bands go perform because they're not hitting. I mean, they got a lot of background singers
Yeah,
helping
I mean,
out.
yeah.
But like seeing a Motley. Okay, so Motley Crue's 3/4 of the band. I would never pay money to go see Motley Crue. Yeah, I'd rather see a good impression of a Motley Crue band sounding like original Motley Crue.
Yeah.
Than to pay the money that they're wanting to
Right.
You know?
But here's where I come from too, because for a long time I made my living as a sound engineer, and I stopped counting how many times I did sound for a band, and it was a huge band from the 60s or 70s, and it was the lead singer's widow's accountant's dog groomer's hairstylist who
That was up there doing.
bought the rights to the name, and there's a bunch of guys on stage that weren't even born when these songs were hits, and they're charging $30,000 or $40,000 to play, calling themselves the actual band. And then we've got tribute bands who are charging 1/8 of that or 1/10 of that, and they're better than that, and they're called a tribute band. They're more accurate than the guys who were touring pretending they were the real band. So, and there's everything in between.
And it's just like me going, a few weeks ago, seeing Jason Bonham perform his Led Zeppelin experience, performing the music of Led Zeppelin. There was nobody in it, but, okay, did I see a great tribute band? Yeah, I guess you could say, but, I don't know. Anyway, so enough of,
I was just going to say, in respect of that, we did a show with James Cotton one time, and it was, it wasn't like the Cotton super band from the 70s, but there's a particular sound that certain people make that's completely, it's an experience. It's something that's non-replicated. Jay Ferguson from Spirit, we did a show at 3rd and Lindsley one time, and he was a special guest there, and just to hear that guy sing, and then you heard him on records, and you just hear his voice in real life. There's just something that's hair-raising about that experience, about somebody that has such a distinct sound. So if it's a tribute, if it's a band and they're lacking members, but there's a member in there that has such a distinct sound, I think it's worth the price of admission.
Right. Yeah, it's fair.
So
It's fair.
Yeah, I mean, be what you are saying you're being. If you're, like, I did sound for the Byrds, and it was the drummer for the Byrds who was the only surviving member. The Bird, yeah.
The Birds.
And this dude was all shriveled up and just plain gray.
yeah.
So I knew what it was. It was like, I need to pay my cardiologist before I die tour.
Yeah.
And there was literally 17. No, I'm telling you.
It sucks to say that, but it's
Yeah. And the kids in the band were like children. They were like 17, 18-year-old. I mean, it was probably his grandchildren playing with him.
Yeah.
But you know what? I sat down with him. I'm like, you fucking rock, man. I said, I see you. And you're
Yeah.
out here doing this. You're awesome.
Hell yeah.
He's like, oh, thank you, man. These kids that play with me, they're so good. I'm like, oh, you are awesome.
Yeah.
Because what are you going to do? Go out and stick your head out a window and say, what do you want, fries with that?
Yeah.
No, go out and play.
Go and play.
So speaking about going out and play, we dove so much into awesome conversation you guys were having about music, the scene, and things, and knowledge and so forth. We didn't get a chance to talk to Tim about his bands, and some of his music, right? So
yeah, part of this whole thing is that Tim gets to promote whatever he wants to promote, and you didn't promote anything last time.
No.
I just try to play and just have fun.
So you're as we talked before, you're in a number of bands, most notably the Nouveau Honkies. So tell us about the Nouveau Honkies.
Nouveau Honkies it started out Rebecca and I, and this year, 2025, at the end of the year will be 20 years that we've been the Nouveau Honkies, which is incredible. Actually, it'll be the beginning of 2026. But I met Rebecca 20 years ago, and then we started playing in 2005, and then 2006 we kind of officially named a band. And it was a guitar, violin, bass, drums. We started playing, and then 2007 we went to the IBC in Memphis, and in 2008 we went back, not as a contestant, but just as we showcased it a couple places. I just kind of didn't want to get in the contest thing of it, but we made a really good connection up there through a guy named Dennis. I wish I could remember his last name, but he was like a talent buyer out of Memphis, out of West Tennessee, and he put us in a couple places. And that year we recorded a little EP at Sun Studios that he hooked us up with, and it was killer. It was a killer run.
We went in that room.
Oh, really?
You recorded in there?
Yeah, dude, the amp I played was a deluxe that was from, oh my gosh, I cannot believe Anyway, it'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, he booked us an hour in there. We did a sound check at the Flying Saucer, and then he's like, "Hey guys, you want to record it at Sun?" And I was like, "Yeah, when?" He's like, "Right now. You got an hour." And we had like 2 hours till the show, so we shot over there and we did a little 5-song EP that we recorded in there. Just
so
all live.
One take each song,
one take, just like they did it in the
school.
old days.
Oh yeah, that's so awesome. We
the
were
Oak Ridge
there.
Boys.
How did you even stand it? It's such a
Oak Ridge-
vibe in there.
It was the Oak Ridge Boys. It was the Oak Ridge Boys Fender Deluxe, like that I played through, and there was a everything. Like we just picked up guitars off the wall and just played whatever was in there. It was like we didn't even have our own stuff, you know.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool. But it was a fun little EP we did, and then it was
One
killer.
whole hour of production, ladies and gentlemen.
One whole
That's how
hour
good
of
this guy
production.
is.
And then from there, we toured. We toured till 2012 as a 4 or 5 piece band and toured all over the place. Rebecca and I moved into an RV, and we didn't have any kind of management or anything at that point anymore. We just kind of broke away from everything we did, and we'd never really been, with the exception of flying gigs to like west of the Mississippi, we'd never really been west of the Mississippi driving. And we did the Wheeling, West Virginia Blues Festival with Matt Guitar Murphy. That was our last gig under contract.
Wait. We're talking the Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I became pretty good friends with Matt, and so we would do a lot of shows with him. Like he would fly to gigs, and then we would be his backing band. And then we left there, and we were going to go to the Northeast because we knew a lot of people there. We'd been up there, and we could park and play gigs. And Rebecca's like, "Dude, I just want to go to Colorado." So we went to Colorado. That's what we did. And so 2013, we went to Colorado, parked at a Walmart for a long time, and stayed in somebody's yard for a long time. And then we got a little resident gig at a place called the Cristola Roadhouse up in Cristola. It's in between Manitou Springs and Woodland Park. So we had a little resident gig there, and we just started gigging around there, just doing basically open mic nights. Started from the ground again, you know, just open mic nights, like no gigs, and just living in an RV in the woods, and just kind of did it. That's kind of where we restarted. It was cool.
Wow.
That's got to bring you back to
was scary as
hone
hell.
your skills. Like rubbing yourself against the flint, sharpening yourself.
It was scary as hell, but it was cool, you know. And then from there, that was 14, 15. End of 15, we bought a house back in Port Salerno, and then we would come back here for the winters. And then I think in 16 or 17, we bought a house in Tennessee, in Knoxville. So we sold the RV after that, and we used the house in Knoxville as a hub to tour out of, and because it's super central.
I remember watching your post about that.
Yeah.
You fixed that place up awesome.
Oh, it was such a cool house, little 1925 Craftsman house, and redid all the windows, and it's cool.
You guys did wonders to that thing.
So it was cool. It was fun. It was fun. It was fun. It was a good time. So, and then 2020 hit, and then we sold the house up there, and we've been here. So trying to haven't really recorded anything new. Got a handful of songs. Got enough songs for a record for sure, but just haven't recorded anything. Haven't really. And then started a project with Nico Swarley and Tom Holler. He plays with Alex Meisner.
Yep.
It's called the Conky Tonkers. It's a straight ahead country band. People like to call it outlaw country. I just say it's classic country. We're no outlaws. We're just dudes. That's why it's called the Conky Tonkers. Our poster's a bunch of flamingos. We're not tough guys. So
That's funny. That's funny. Outlaw country, I think of the Outlaws MC rolling up with cowboy hats on.
we're just Florida kids.
He said he was in the market for a motorcycle again, remember?
I'm getting a motorcycle soon, dude. We're not riding.
You can't play outlaw country if you don't have a motorcycle.
Yeah. So anyway,
Just step up.
yeah, Rebecca, I'm getting a motorcycle.
Oh, there you go.
Don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
She'll never find out.
She won't know until the 7th of
Yeah.
January.
No, she won't watch
She
this.
has to know I've been looking like every day. I go on Craig Facebook
Yeah.
Marketplace and
Yeah.
Craigslist. I'm like looking at bikes, typing people. Oh,
Hey,
what's
Tim,
this?
what's this history? You look
Yeah.
at your internet browser history.
Yeah, it's like bike.
Can't you be like all of the guys and look at porn instead of motorcycles?
Motorcycle.
Oh, my.
What?
Wow, I don't see anybody. Okay. Let's
Yeah.
not go there.
Anyway.
Yeah. We're not talking about North Korean porn again for the third straight episode.
Why do you keep bringing... You've got a fetish about North Korean porn.
I just think it's
Do
funny.
not come.
Thank you, Kamala.
Jesus.
Yeah, so...
Yes. Thank you, Devin.
So,
yes.
so it's a running gag in this thing. How do we get on that North Korean porn thing? Oh, because North Korean porn is like videos of people actually eating food.
Oh.
Yeah.
Naked.
Yeah.
It was the whole point was that they started moving into Russia to help them with Ukraine.
Yeah.
And once they made it into Russia, they had access to the internet where they never had access to the internet before.
I got you.
And they're like,
So the Ukrainian forces ambushed them while they were all on Pornhub for the first time.
the hell with this.
Yeah, I forgot. That's where it came from. Yeah.
Stop all war and just give everybody porn.
That's it, right?
Yeah. Just sit
Make
in their
love
foxhole.
without war.
Yeah.
Make porn not work.
Make
There you
porn,
go.
not war.
So, Tim, let me ask you. You talked about Rebecca, your wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the last week we talked about some of the gigs that you're seeing, Taj Mahal, and she recognized. So, what's her background?
She's a trip. She's a classically trained violinist originally,
Awesome violin player,
and
not just she doesn't just play fiddle, which she does well. She can play the violin.
she would never call herself a fiddle player. That's the funny thing. She's like, I don't really play fiddle, and kudos to her for that, because she, it's one of those things, like kind of realizing limitations, but she works at it a lot. And with the Conky Tonkers, we're like, one of my dreams with the Conky Tonkers is to have a legit 6-piece band, and just do a full set of Bob Wills, straight up Western swing. And I'd really like to pull a clarinet in on that.
No kidding.
Do it totally traditional. Drums, bass, a lap steel, guitar, fiddle, clarinet, and we need a piano player too. So that's 7 pieces now. It just takes a lot of a lot of money to put an endeavor like that on,
Right.
and the music is pretty damn detailed. You can't fake that shit. So. But that would be something that I'd really like to see the Conky Tonkers take up, because who does a full show of Western, like Bob Wills, around here.
Well, I saw you play, and it's great.
So it's such fun music, and people would. I think, how do you not bop to that, dude?
Yeah,
How
and
do you not bop to that? It's
songs you forgot you've heard before, but they're great.
Yeah, roly poly.
But I think
you're gonna love it. People are.
You're not playing. How often do you play with the Conky Tonkers?
Only like once or twice a month. It's super rare thing. And again, that's one of those things. Getting back to our last conversation about it's, I hate to say it, but it's a thing about money. And so the gigs we have, it's hard to get. It's hard to get money to just do even a 4-piece, and so I don't want to sell that short, because we're putting our time in, and we're really trying to learn material.
So I think that's like, I was thinking mind about was I'm sorry, I'm totally drawing a blank. So Jim from the Metal Luscious band, right?
Jim McCourt,
right?
Drums on Metal Luscious.
So he's also in a band called Made of Metal, and they like twice a year. They do another full set of music from the 80s. So they just this last month or November did a whole show about Wasp.
Wow.
And they did a full on, like the whole show, theatrics and everything, right?
Yeah.
They went, like, again, like you said it last week, you going full all in.
Going all in.
You're putting in a performance. And coming up, their next, music is going to be Cinderella.
Wow.
So they're doing different. Thank you.
That's such a hard catalog, man.
But you're.
You got to be able to play. You got to be able to sing.
You're right. Yeah.
Do it right.
Yeah. But they're not. It's not like all the time. It's like a special one night. Right. Yeah. So that's what I'm wondering. Is like, is that something maybe to look at it that way? Maybe.
Well, it's funny because we like just the few gigs we've done. We've had a couple weird phone calls from people. A couple weird inquiries from some other people. I thought it was like a joke, like somebody calling me being a joke, and I was like, no, we're not really ready to do any, So it was for real. Like it was a real legit person calling, like, oh, well, you guys are doing this, and I was like, well, like pump the brakes a little bit. We're not really ready for something like that. But if it could become something, for that band, I would love to be able to do a show a month, but have it just knocked out of the park. I'm talking full nudie suits, killing it, just the full straight up
Like
get
the
up.
WIRK rib roundup, or I mean, something like you're up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not here to compete
Yeah.
with all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
new guys doing the new country and all the tough guys doing all the outlaw country. I just want to play some shit I really think's fun,
Yeah.
I used to work in a car garage when I was a kid, and that was the stuff that was being played all the time. So I fell in love with that music. Some of it's just so funny,
So you play country and western.
Country and western.
You do both styles of music.
Country, yeah.
Did
country
we
and western.
did we just make two Blues Brothers references in this episode?
You know
we did.
something that's hilarious, dude? When we were on the road it was like in the late 2000s, like 2008, 2009, we stopped at Hank Williams' birthplace in Alabama. It's north of Mobile. We played in Mobile, and we drove north of Mobile, and we went to his birthplace. And it's his house he grew up in. They have pictures of him and his first band and all that stuff. And there was this display of Pappy McCormick. That was Hank Williams' lap steel player. And his lap steel was a giant railroad tie, and it had a neck on each side on a barbecue spindle, and you could spin it around, so it had different tunings.
No kidding.
So it was funny when I played with the Dalai Lamas. Like, this is back in the late '90s, I guess. When I played in the Dalai Lamas, we did do a couple Bob Wills tunes, and I played lap steel in that band. So I would do like a lot of the Leon McCullough parts and that stuff, and it was just hilarious because I invented a lap steel that you could flip on a spindle. It was on two drum stands, and you could flip it over. So I had a G-tune lap steel. I had an A6 for doing all the stuff and all the stuff. So anyway, I
missed the Dalai Lamas. Those guys were awesome.
So I looked at this lady, this museum curator at the Hank Williams childhood home, and I was like, that dude has a freaking lap steel on a barbecue spindle. Like, I thought I came up with that idea. And she goes, "Oh, Pappy McCormick." She goes, "He could play all three types of music." And I was like, "What do you mean all three types of music?" And she goes, "He could play country, western, and Hawaiian." And I thought that was the best shit ever, dude, because she threw the Hawaiian in there. So you got to put the Hawaiian in there with it, dude. It's
that is awesome.
just so funny. So, but the stuff you see, like little places like that. But yeah, I seen a dobro player have a dobro like that at another event, and he had a dobro with two cones, a cone on one side and a cone on the other side.
Oh, no kidding.
And the necks actually joined, and he held it like a regular dobro, and then he'd flip it over, and he had a whole nother tuning on it.
Oh, so he muted the other strings with his own lap.
I guess, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Is that what Miles plays?
Miles plays a lap steel.
Okay, lap
Yeah,
steel.
he's playing
okay.
lap steel.
Okay.
That's like the sacred steel stuff he does. He plays pedal steel too, doesn't
Pedals. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Pedal
plays
steel.
pedal
He
steel.
plays pedal steel.
he? It's like the real sacred, like the gospel steel, like Roosevelt Collier and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
He's very Robert Randolph.
Robert Randolph is what I'm thinking of.
He was up in Memphis that same time we were up
Oh
there.
man, that dude is so bad, dude. I love that dude.
He does a great job.
So-
And he's so young. I mean,
Yeah.
if he sticks with it, he's going to be an amazing artist.
Yeah, for sure.
So, so current scheduling, normal rotation is the Nouveau Honkies.
Nouveau Honkies, we
Yeah.
play every Wednesday night at a place called Stringers
Okay.
in Sewell's Point. It's actually they're changing their name to Catch. They're
So they've been stringing it along long enough. Now they're going to finally catch something.
They're going to catch something.
But
yeah.
All right.
So, but that's been our Wednesday gig. We had that residency at Terra for like 10 years, and then that just kind of dwindled away. And then we got a call from them to do a Wednesday there, which was awesome because I love having a regular gig. Then our regular Thursday gigs at Krabby's, the gig I've had for 100 years. Like right when we got over on the Mayflower, we started playing there.
Right.
We've been playing there forever, and that's another seafood restaurant in Port Salerno. It's like 2
I love
blocks
that
away from my
place.
house.
Yeah.
I ride my lawnmower over there. Just
And Stringers is cool too. That's a
Pumping.
good spot there.
Yeah, yeah,
I always
yeah.
have a good time when I play there.
and then weekends are always different. And this year, one of the things we're doing with the Honkies is we're doing a couple full band gigs. We're going to try to do a full band gig a month somewhere, and more than likely, Tom Holler on drums, Nico Swarley on bass.
Okay.
So we'll use those guys for a rhythm section. I'll probably pull in Kevin Mall on pedal steel.
Yeah,
so.
Kevin's good.
Kevin's great, dude. So
Yeah, he sat in with me a few times, and I was like,
oh,
wow, that's cool.
he's one of the tastiest players on
Yeah.
earth, dude. He just never plays anything out of place.
Yeah, very, very rarely do I give someone license, but I said to Kevin, I'm like, you've got free license anytime I'm playing. Just don't even ask. Just bring your shit up on stage and start playing.
Yeah, he's we met him in I can't remember what year we met him, but we met him here, and he just kind of saw us and we talked a little bit, and then we kept in touch. We were doing a gig in Atlanta. I can't remember where, but it was you. Do you guys know UK Bob?
No, I don't
He used
think
to
so.
do a radio show, and so when we released some records a long time ago, he like played some of our stuff, so we became pretty good friends with him. And then UK Bob was like he was in the audience. I think what was this place called? I wish I could remember this place. Anyway, he was in the audience, and I got a text from Kevin Mall, like while we were playing, and I kind of looked down, and it said, "Hey, you want to open for Bill Kirchen in New York?" And I was like, well, shit, yeah. I've been listening to Bill Kirchen. Like that was some of the records my dad used to put on. He used to run around circles in the yard listening to Hot Rod Lincoln, you know, Commander Cody and the Lost Planet Airmen. Bill Kirchen was a guitar player. So it was killer. And I said, hell yeah. And he goes, well, it kind of got to get approved by Bill, but we'll see what happens. So Bob was sitting there. I was like, Bob, you got Bill Kirchen's number? He's like, yeah. I said, text him right now and tell him we want to open that gig, dude. And it was like, so I don't know if he did anything, but we ended up going up. We played in Troy. Kevin got us that gig in Troy, and then the next night we played the Hangar across the street. Yeah, it was killer. And then Bill called us on stage, and it was so cool. We did a bunch of Jimmy Reed with Bill Kirchen. And then later that year, we were in Austin, and I reached out to Bill because he lives in Austin. I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "I got a show at El Mercado. Come on out." It was Joey Del Gilmore. You ever seen Dallas from a DC 99? That song. Mm-hmm. So it's Joey Del Gilmore and a couple other people. We went and listened to the show, and then Bill's like, "Hey, let's go out tonight. I'll introduce you to a couple people." We went to Don's Depot. He introduced me to Chris Gage, who is the piano player from Hee Haw, but he also does all the music stuff for ACL, Austin City Limits.
Oh, wow.
And then it was crazy. So at the end of the night, I was like, Bill, you want to play on our record? He's like, shit, yeah, man. So he came out the next day, played on the record. And then I was trying to play piano on this song. Thank you. I was trying to play piano on this song, and it just wasn't really sitting right. And I had gotten Chris Gage's number from the night before. I actually did, that night I did a song with Chris Gage. He handed me his Martin. He was playing a baby grand piano. And we did a couple Jimmy Webb tunes. We did Wichita Lineman, and I think we did, it was either Galveston or one of those tunes, you know. And it was just like, it was so cool. Everybody was crying at the end of the song. It was just one of those things. And Chris just sings like
That's
a bird.
such a great song.
And then I texted Chris. I was like, hey, do you think you could play piano on a song for me? I just want it to be piano. I don't want it to be anything else. He's like, send me the track over. And we sent it to him, and he sent it back the next day. And it's on that record, Loud in Here. It's just a great piano track.
Wow.
And it was, those years were so fun because we met so many amazing people that I just couldn't believe we were hanging out. And like childhood, just like to hang out with Bill Kirchen to me was just insane. Like I've been listening to my whole life, you know, and then I'm like, you know, and to see him in the studio, he's 70 years old and he's still doing the big arm sweeps, like, and just freaking out. And you're like, that's why he's Bill Kirchen. Like, that's why he's who he is, just playing the sickest honky tonk stuff and just really cool stuff. Those years for me were super fun because it was we got to meet so many good people and some of the most amazing musicians that I've like couldn't hold a candle to, and I still got to somehow play with them, and it was just wild to me. So pretty cool. I miss that so much. I miss part of that. So that's one of the things I miss about being on the road. So
Yeah, to have greatness be a part of your routine is something that you've got to kind of ride like a wave while you're doing it. But then when it's gone, you're like, oh.
Yeah. But then again, man, like we were saying last week, there's so many crazy talented people around here, and yeah, there's so many crazy talented people around here, and a lot of times it might be something, most of the time it's something out of my wheelhouse, but man, they're a wealth of knowledge in themselves. They're just doing something different than me. Have you ever seen Victoria Cordova? She does like a loop-in thing. And,
I don't think so.
Dude, she's like insane, dude. She's like, I saw her a couple weeks ago, and I've seen her before. And, dude, she was doing like some Beatles stuff and just setting all these loops and then wailing, playing over it. Great singer. Just another talent that's around here. And she plays solo, so she doesn't really play with many other people.
Right.
But I walked up where I told her, I was like, dude, like, let's just set up a night where we all get to play together. And then I had no idea she even knew who I was. She was like, oh my gosh, that'd be awesome, And I was like, dude, but a lot of times that's what it takes. There's so many really, the Leafy Greens, Billy and Ellen.
Yeah.
Like, to do a full band with them would be so damn fun. That would be just such
really
a fun
good.
night
Yeah.
if you could back them up and just like.
Who's playing with them? Because I know they've finally started doing a full band thing.
Yeah,
but,
they were doing a full band thing, and then but still, I mean, just like that kind of stuff could just elevate that thing. You do a night where it's like, it'd just be so cool.
So I've got a Leafy Green story, and it kind of again, there's a Brad Brock connection here is on his show.
Oh, he took a lot longer to mention his name this time. What the hell?
Yeah.
We need to have like some sort of
A
pool
counter-
where
a
like
counter,
how
like, yeah,
long
how
will
long-
it be?
I need a Brad Rock sound effect.
Yeah, Brad Brock.
Yeah, we need to get with Brad,
we gotta
have
get
him
on
supply
that.
that.
Yeah, he's got to have his own sound effect. So we were at Blue Point. So my wife and I had seen Chris Springer, and he was playing at Blue Point in maybe 2020, 21, or something about that time frame. And in 2019, I went to Nashville, did a drum workshop with Jim Riley, the drummer from Rascal Flatts. Took out Nashville. That's the first time I was in Nashville. I'm like, this is such a great. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Bouncing around, watching music and hearing all that. Just taking it all. And actually, that's what some of the foundations is to get me started on doing the original podcast, Drums and Rumps. But anyway, so again, I'm not a country guy. Never really got into it because we've talked on this podcast. Never got really exposed to it at an early age and so forth. And I know country's now many different things. But nonetheless, just taking in all the great music and just seeing performances and just, eating it up. So I learned about the Miranda Lambert song, Tequila Does, right? And I see it performed in Nashville, and I was like, that's a great song. Yeah, really, okay, she's not a bad to look at either, but, So we were at Blue Point there now, maybe a year or so or whenever later, right? And I just had a little bit of money burning in my pocket, and then Billy and Ellen was up on the stage doing her thing. And I'm like, she's got a great voice for this song. So I went up there. So they followed Chris, right? So Chris is sitting there with us. So I went up there and went to ATM machine, threw $100 down on the stage and says, here's a song I want you to play. They're like, and I think they were still kind of starting kind of out kind of thing. And it was one of those, you're not going to pass up on $100 tip, right? Of course, Springer says to me, he says, why the fuck don't you tip me like that, right? So I throw up there and
He's not wearing a skirt, which would downgrade his tips. Actually, Chris, you look good, but not in a skirt.
Yeah. So I said, all right, here's the song I want you to do. It's Tequila Does, Miranda Lambert. Sure. So they took their whole break to look at the song, figure it out, and so forth, right? They're reading the lyrics and ended up. So Brad brought it up on the show. They were on the show after. So Brad had heard this story. Now he brought it up, and they were pissed because I didn't do it intentionally, but it was one of those. I thought it was a really great song for her to sing, but what threw them off was it did a time signature change between the chorus and the verse. So it went from like the whole verses or swinging, to then,
double times, right?
And then went to the verse or the chorus, and it was like just straight, So anyway, to me, as I said, that would be a great song to add, but they struggled, right? And again, it's A for effort. I get it. You're a musician. You're not going to turn down $100 tip, but it was one of those, but it's great to see them. It's very similar. It sounds like,
they're doing so good right now. Dude, anything I can do to push them along and encourage them and help them out. Any contact I have, man, I think they're great. I love those guys.
And I think, you know, when I ask this question and ask it this way, Tim, is like, it's got to be something. The question I want to ask you is like, you know, performing with somebody all the time that you're with, right? And obviously you've got to love Rebecca, obviously, very well to see that you're around. You're all the time with each other, performing, you know, and you know what I mean. And seeing Billy and Ellen, very similar as well. As like it's kind of that style. So, what's it like? I guess performing.
Well, it's crazy because when the person you perform with is a love interest, there's definitely a bit of, I guess, from the position of being the masculine person in the relationship, there's definitely a position of protection. So I feel like I always have to like protect Rebecca. So if somebody starts shit with Rebecca, there's been instances where somebody said something to Rebecca and I just can't handle it. I'm just off the stage. I'm just losing my shit, you know, just like you don't say that shit to my wife, regardless, you know. But the things that I've learned so much from, like, Rebecca is such a fucking Marine when it comes to playing. Like, when we had a band, we'd be on the road and this guy couldn't get the proper weed and this guy couldn't get whatever he needed. Everybody had their little artist bullshit that they have, like being in a band, you know? And Rebecca would just, whatever's going on, she could be feeling worse than anybody in the whole world. And then she gets on stage and she brings it more than anybody I've ever seen. And I've always wondered how she does that. I don't know how she does that. You know, I don't know how she puts all that. I don't know how she puts life aside and gets on stage and performs, even when nobody's paying attention. I don't know how she does it. And I try to learn from it every day. It's amazing that she can do that. But then it really works. You know, when it's in a situation where, you know, you're playing a festival or you're playing a theater and everybody's listening, dude, there's not one eye that's not trained on her.
Yeah.
You know, she kills it. She kills it. So I have a lot of comrades in music, like a lot of people that I have the utmost respect for because we've been through a lot of shit together. Playing music, being on the road, being in weird situations, seeing people have downfalls, seeing people have struggles or addictions or get over addictions, and because that possible addiction pushes them away, they can't play music anymore. And I have respect for all those people that I've played with. But I really have to say that I have more respect for Rebecca as a musician than anybody I know in my life. And that's outside of, if she wasn't my wife, if she wasn't my girlfriend, if she wasn't a love interest, I would say that about her. She's an amazing person. So, and I'm guilty of falling short of that sometimes. And when you work 5-6 weeks or 5 nights, 6 nights a week with somebody, you know, I think for me personally, I feel guilty of separating those two things a lot. So if there's a New Year's resolution that I didn't say from 2024 into 2025, I think that it would be that I want to make sure that I can separate those two things with her and show her the respect. I definitely show her the respect she needs as a musician, but show her the respect that she needs as a wife. So she's an amazing person, dude. So things that people don't know about Rebecca, she got Lyme disease in 2007 or 2017. And
that's debilitating.
Debilitating. And we were on the road till the end of 2019.
Wow.
And she would basically stay in bed all day and then perform a show. Nobody knew any of that shit.
Wow.
Nobody knew anything was wrong with her. Just fucking Navy
That's
SEAL
impressive.
shit.
So
Navy SEAL shit.
Nobody's got any room to complain about anything.
Yeah, nobody's got any room to complain about anything.
Yeah,
That chick is stronger than anybody I ever met.
So
rock on. Good job, Rebecca.
So
you kick ass.
I know we would ask you this, you know, part of the segment there, the MVP, but I'm going to assume that's who your MVP of this week would be.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
and just listening to you tell it very, I can hear it's the heart, you know, the way you,
Oh, clearly.
Oh yeah.
So. I mean, I got, the time that we met was a really weird time for me, a really strange time for her. And, you know, we were together, we weren't together, we were this, we were that, but we kind of stuck it together, and music is kind of what held it together, you know. But yeah, pretty wild. This coming up this February 22nd, 12 years married. So
All right, congrats. Hey.
Congratulations, 12 years.
stoked. 12 years. So, and anybody out there that's wondering about when they should get married, I just want to let you know that a real man waits 7 years. Just so you know. So don't get married before 7 years.
And
It's a
why
terrible advice.
Why
but
would
anyway,
that be?
It's just terrible advice.
Oh, you trying to redeem yourself for the 7-year wait you put her through?
Maybe.
Yeah. Let's not go.
Certainly not.
Yeah,
That's certainly not it. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
let's not get him into trouble now. So, all right. So, yeah, let's just shift a little gears here.
You weren't
So,
supposed to do that.
I wasn't
Well,
supposed
you
to.
know what? Part of tonight's episode is going to include a music review.
Okay.
And so here on the Riffs and Rhythms podcast, we review music, not if it's good or bad, but whether or not it's the riff or the rhythm that makes the song. So what we're going to do is I got approached by some local musicians here on the Treasure Coast called the Truck Stop Hooligans. Have you ever met any of those guys?
I've never met them. I've heard things about them. I've never heard them.
They have got a thing going on, and we're gonna. They requested that we look at this particular song, so we're gonna do that.
okay.
And this is the Truck Stop Hooligans song "Sorrento."
Here we go.
Thank you.
Things aren't the same since you left here. Sometimes they're better, it seems.
Very Dylan-like vocals.
And now I sleep on the right side, just so I can catch that breeze. And oh, all those memories, they haunt me like ghosts through my days. Oh, those days in Sorrento, sailing out to Capri. And now
Very,
I'm
very
back
mellow
here
vibe, right? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Something that I never thought I'd see. And oh, all those memories, they haunt me like ghosts through my days.
So, Tim, is this a little bit of the style there? I can hear the lead, the guitar playing. Oh, guitar pop.
Yeah, yeah.
It's well recorded.
Maybe one day in Boston we'll see each other on the tee. Oh, we'll talk of those days
All right.
So I'm right off the bat, like from the beginning to the end. Really, it's the rhythm that holds that song together.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. What do you hear, Tim?
I think it's the riff.
Which part of it? The vocal?
Okay.
So to me, a song that would be rhythm would be a riff that couldn't survive without the rhythm. That riff survives without the rhythm, to me. And then the vocal melody, very similar to the guitar riff. I
Well-
think it's a riff.
Okay.
So I'm looking at, and well said, but I'm looking at the rhythm as the glue, like the
I can see that.
consistent thing throughout.
Yeah.
That's what I was hearing.
Okay.
Because like being a a loud aggressive guitar player, I didn't hear a whole lot of
Well,
rah, da, da, da.
you're probably into like the riff.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
but I would consider what you're talking about more melody.
Melody. I think so to me, it's more of a songwriter, melody-driven song. Not the riff so much, but the riff was very similar to the melody. Then the guitar rhythm was it was very. So to me, it's a riff. It's
Well,
a
there you
melody
go.
riff.
Well,
So-
yeah, well done.
So for me, like a song that can't live without drums. What would you think that? Think of a song that couldn't live without drums, regardless of what the riff was or the melody.
Oh well, it would be something like Dixie Chicken,
Yeah.
or maybe
Anything Bernard Purdie played on,
and
like a
James
Purdie
Brown
shuffle.
stuff.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
If you were to try to play James Brown with just a guitar without drums, you're just your battleship is sunk.
I've tried it. You have to do more than just the guitar part to make it work.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So that's when
Yeah.
I think that the rhythm is very important in a song. So,
Right. All right. Well done.
personal opinion.
Well done.
So,
I always go with my first thought, and as I listened to that, the thing that came across as the glue, the
well, the drums definitely
platform.
like they push a whole thing through it. But I look at every song as like, could that song be sung on the stage at a writer round
Yeah,
with a guy in
and
an acoustic guitar?
From that standpoint, absolutely, he could have done it without the drums.
So it could be like boom, boom.
It would-
He could
it would
start
be
the
just
song
as
up. And he could start strumming a chord, a G chord. Just strumming a G chord.
So as we go through this process,
You know what I mean?
of analyzing songs,
Tim just put two of the musicians in that band out of business now.
No, I did not.
No, but-
like
But as we go through this, input from other musicians really helps us refine what we're doing here. And the fact that you're saying that, like, can this song survive without that aspect? Then that's not the main focus.
yeah. So when I think of a well-crafted song from a melodic and lyrical perspective, can it stand alone?
Right.
So if you think of like a James Taylor song, or you think of there's so many out there.
Any of the singer-songwriters.
Yeah, any of those singer-songwriters,
Yeah. J.J. Cale.
Oh yeah, like those songs somebody could strum that song and it would,
Yeah.
for me, it would catch my attention because of the melody.
Most blues songs.
Some of them, I mean, the ones that are just, I
Well,
woke up this
the
morning,
most epic ones.
the most epic ones, yeah. So
All right, so let me throw this in then. So, wait, do we going to go around real quick before I?
What do
say
you
my
What
thoughts?
do you believe?
I was different. I hear what you're saying, Tim. Is that part? It came in. It was distinct. The guitar part was definitely a distinct thing. What kind of the groove between the bass and the drums, and even a little of the rhythmic aspect of even the guitar playing. But I'm gonna go with rhythm.
wow,
I'm a rhythm. Yeah.
that's fun.
Or we just there is a term that was coined on this show by one of our guests, Lefty Hathaway.
Lefty, my buddy.
He coined when the perfect blend of the riff and the rhythm. It's called the rhythm.
The rhythm.
The
That's
riff
pretty good.
them, but after hearing you say what you said about that,
he put a good argument up here. He should be a lawyer.
Yeah, I would. Even though the thing that stood out to me the most is the rhythm, I totally get what you're
driving
saying.
rhythm. Driving rhythm. I agree.
I totally get what you're saying. Then looking at it with that parameter in mind, I think you're right.
Yeah.
So, and it's ironic that you made a reference to Sun Studio, right? And I was going to make a reference to Ring of Fire.
Yeah.
And how that song had its rhythm from the guitar. Remember, didn't he say he put a dollar bill in?
Yeah.
Yeah. He
And
played the
like,
drum part on the guitar with a dollar bill through the strings.
So,
Yeah.
right. So interesting.
wild.
So, all right. Well, all right. So pretty good. So
Lefty, by the way, knows a lot about rhythm. I saw him play with a mariachi band on Cinco de Mayo with his melodica. It was very entertaining as I sat there and watched him do that.
No doubt.
Yeah,
Wow.
I actually got a video on my phone if you guys want to
That
see
would
it
be
later.
entertaining. I would love to see
boy.
that.
I love Lefty.
Lefty is
I'm actually
a
doing a
blast.
show with him coming up, too.
Are you? Yeah, good. Well, you performed on his latest release.
Dr. John review. He's
Oh,
going
you're doing
to
yes,
Dr.
yes,
John.
that'll be your second show with him doing that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's going to be good. That's
I
going to
like-
be when, in February?
February. I like dressing up like a peacock and having fun. So
his stories he shared on the episode was like crazy on the road with
Lefty's out of his mind.
He is. He's a whack job, that's for sure.
you
But I
got-
love him to death.
With Brothers After All. I'm
Yeah,
sure
worked
you
with
got-
him.
Yeah,
we talked about the stories that when I tagged along with them to Memphis with these guys, and Refty and I had to share a room. We were the top floor. It was supposed to be like the Love Palace floor or whatever because it was all this neon light and
Yeah, and Lefty and Rhythm Man over here, they go upstairs to get the Lovebird loft. And they were adamant about it. They fought over who was going to get to be there,
Yeah.
and they both won.
I bet they both won that night.
Yeah.
Do not come.
I think they both won
my
that
God.
night.
Yeah, I think you both won that night. No,
Yeah.
Lefty.
yeah.
That's hilarious.
lefty and righty. So,
Whoa!
oh, bazinga. Anyway, all right. So before we wrap up the show, Tim, we got another Tales from the Road. You got a good road story here you can share about what's happened in your past.
I got a really good one where we were on tour in the Northeast and we had a show to do in Maine again. I have a couple Maine road stories, but this one stands out. There was one Maine story where we stayed in this haunted place, and then they wanted us to play an extra night, and I didn't want to stay there next night because there was like a stairway that went up to a brick wall, and we had to get out of there. And I drove to Stowe, Vermont, but I didn't realize we had to go over the White Mountains. And then when we got there, I ate a bunch of Rice Krispie treats. I had no idea that they were made with weed oil, and I lost my mind for like 2 days. I thought, Devin, I thought people were, when you were saying people were talking to you,
People weren't looking at me.
everything was going on that day. That was one of the worst experiences of my life. But another time we were in Maine, we showed up there, and it was a private party we were playing in Daramuscata, Maine. And we show up, and it's just it's out in the middle of nowhere. And I've driven through like all the hollers in Kentucky and Tennessee, all those areas, and people get real afraid of like the hill people. They're like, oh, they're gonna like cook me up and eat me and stuff. But I've never been that afraid like in the hollers in Tennessee. But when you get up to like out in the sticks, Maine, it's the same people that's in Tennessee, but they all have like PhDs and shit, so they know how to like dismember you properly and like sell your organs and shit. So it's way more profitable.
It's like Stephen King, right?
Stephen King does not write fiction. That's all I'm going to say. He does not write fiction. So anyway, we get there and we pull up in this place, and there's a house and there's a garage door, and there's this giant picture of this, like, it's some kind of dog with giant teeth, just like on the garage door with his teeth out, and it's as big as our van. And it says whatever the dog's name is. It says how fast he can run. It says what his bite pressure is. And then it's like no trespassing. I'm like, this is great.
Cujo.
So I get out of the van and I kind of go knock on the door, and sure enough, the dog comes running to the door. I'm like, oh shit, this is this like dog that's going to eat everybody. So I walk around the side of the house because there's a barn, and I go to this barn and I knock on the door. And this dude opens up the door, and he's like, "Hey, good to see you guys, blah, blah, blah." And I walk in there, and there's a stage, there's a full PA, a killer room to play in, like a really nice room. It's like, this is a cool place. And then hanging from the ceiling is all these big, like 8-foot round, they got like not chicken wire, but smaller than chicken, and they're drying marijuana buds. And this place is a grow room for the state of Maine. He grows medical marijuana for the state of Maine. And there's a barn, and on each side is 2 grow rooms on each side.
And this is where you're playing.
This is where we're playing.
So you're playing in the dry room.
So I already had issues with eating marijuana and went off on the space shuttle and like never wanted to go there again. Like terrible experience for me. So I was like, I kind of told him, I was like, dude, I don't smoke marijuana and I don't, do good on that stuff. He's, oh, we'll get it out. We're just drying this. We're going to move it all out. So then we do the show, and there's probably like 130, 120, 150 people there. Great show, great sounding room, stage, barn, super fun. And anybody that ever said that you can't overdose on marijuana, they're full of shit, because there's people just straight falling out on the floor, just blah, 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 like. So by the end of the night, I had such a contact high. I was, again, like out of my gourd, because they were passing giant coffee cups out around of just joints that long, and the whole place. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to sing tomorrow. So we get done. I had my Yorkie Kilroy with me, and he was high because he was in there too. And we just went and we sat under the stars because there's like no light pollution up there. And we just watched this.
Oh, my
It
God.
was so awesome. Me and my dog, we just hung out all night. Funny part of the story is when we had to play in, what's the town in New Hampshire? Like the Manchester, New Hampshire? Is it like the
I think so.
Yeah. We had to go to Manchester, New Hampshire. This is on a Sunday. And we pull up to Manchester, New Hampshire they do these AMA, like Americana music gigs, but a lot of times they do them at churches. Like, this is the way they set them up. So we show up at this church, and it's the same thing. I kind of look in the door, and I'm like, okay, cool. They got a PA. We don't need our stuff. I walk in, and it's like all these church folks, and I open my guitar case, and all our gear stayed in that room that night, my guitar, everything. I open the guitar case, and it just comes out, dude. It's like the waft. Dude, it's just like the waft of marijuana, and all these people in the church are just looking at me just like, what? Probably, honestly, it was 2 months after that, we're driving back through the South where like medical marijuana wasn't even legal. All our gear reeked of weed for like 2 months in the van. And I was like, if we get pulled over, we are so done, dude, because he couldn't get rid of the smell.
Oh, that's insane.
This stuff sat there for like a night. And it was just like, we'd get back to Tennessee. We'd go to a gig in Tennessee. I'd open the door, and it would just be like out of the van. There'd be a cop standing there on the road, just be like, I'd just like, oh Jesus, we're like
Cheech and Chong.
until he busted. But that was a crazy gig. It was a gig at a grow room for the state.
Alcohol. And as for drugs, well, drugs are bad.
Drugs are bad.
Drugs. Okay, that about wraps up my introduction.
But that was a pretty funny night. So
Crazy. How'd you book that gig?
I can't remember. One of the Blues Pick Records. We did a deal with them in 2007 or 8 or something like that. They split, and Leo Gale. We remained really good friends with him, and he kind of started his own booking thing. So he books a couple different people, but he's like one of the best dudes in the world. He does a lot of stuff for us, like a la carte booking. And, he gets his percentage of that, but we don't have a yearly.
Right.
Again, I don't mean to, if whatever you have going on with other people, Leo, I don't mean to. Leo's a really good friend of mine. And whenever we have a situation where there probably needs to be a middleman, we'll call up Leo and be like, can you handle this for me? Because I don't want to deal with it. So,
Yeah.
So he's just another guy in the business that always believed in what we did. And he's been with us since 2007. So it's killer.
Nice,
So,
yeah. It's always great to have
awesome.
people in your corner,
Yeah.
right? Helping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are times when it's not in your best interest to represent yourself.
Yeah. Another piece of advice for anybody out there: if if you sign anything with anybody, they got to like you more than you like you. And if not, they're not going to work for you. They're just going to take advantage of your ass. So they got to be willing to like put in the time. I remember one of the first tours we did, and it was before all the GPS on phone and stuff. And Leo made us a whole itinerary folder, you know.
Triptychs.
The total dude. And I was like, this guy just rules, dude. He's a good dude. Leo's a great guy. So I like him.
Yeah.
So we're still good friends, and he helps us out a lot, you know. And so I think that's awesome.
That's
Very cool.
awesome.
All right.
Cool.
So Devin's signing up to help you move any gear for the next tour.
Thank you, Devin. Thank you, Devin. Free smoke.
Hey, you're just going to take all your clothes and just lay it out in the barn. Just inhale
Hey,
it.
Kevin, have you ever bought a piece of gear and it had cocaine or marijuana in it?
Unfortunately not.
Dude, I've done it before,
you kidding
dude.
me?
I bought a bass head one time and it had a bunch of cocaine like stashed in top of the amp.
Oh, you're
And then I
kidding. Oh, bonus.
And then I bought another a guitar amp one time, and somebody stashed a bunch of dope in there, a bunch of marijuana in there, dude. It was like when I was a kid, dude. I was like, "What? This is funny."
Oh, we were talking.
So-
we were hanging out. We were hanging out in Tennessee. Have you ever heard of a place called Pokey's? It's in Eastern Tennessee, and we happened to be there. We weren't touring or nothing. We were just hanging out, and Pokey, the owner, was the only. Pokey and his wife were the only other. With there's 4 people in the bar: Tracy and I, and Pokey and Mrs. Pokey, whatever her name is. And this place has been featuring live entertainment like since the 70s. And like all your favorite rock and roll bands, the show poster for them at Pokey's is like filling the wall. And he was talking about they have a band room, and there was something going on where they were going to do something with the band room. They were upgrading it, and they needed to get a permit, or I don't know what the reason was, but they had to clean the band room for some reason. And he was like, I found so many bags of coke.
Jeez.
And so many I had so many drugs, I had to just throw them away. I thought I was going to get arrested.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was hilarious.
So back to that Memphis story, Oak Ridge Boys. The guitar player for the Oak Ridge Boys was a 58 Tweed Deluxe that I played through on that record.
Oh, wow.
And
From Sun Studios.
Yeah, and I guess they just traded him some cocaine for that amp, and he left it
Oh,
there.
my God. So was that
Wow. So what is that amp worth now?
Yeah,
More than a
right?
bag of coke,
Yeah,
I can
so-
tell you that.
was that the presence we were feeling in the
It was the presence of a cocaine deal that we're feeling. It wasn't the presence of
It was a
all of
good
the great
sounding
music
amp,
that
dude.
had been there.
It was a good sound.
But we walked in there, and as soon as you step down that step into the recording room, there's just a wave that hit me like, oh,
the
like,
ceiling.
like they talk about virginces on the earth. Like there's a virgins in that spot,
No doubt.
where like all the creativity that's ever been had is somehow flowing through that room.
Yeah.
It is did you have that?
Oh, I walked in there and I couldn't believe it. And then when we plugged everything in and we set up right in the center of the room, everybody looking at each other. Like, so the drums were where you were, I was here, Mike Burney was there, and Rebecca was right there, and we just were all looking at each other and just played like we'd play. And it was honestly, I don't really remember it. I don't really remember. I made up a song called Memphis Bound, like made it up on the spot. Yeah. Made up all the words on the spot. We did a version of Otis Rush's I Can't Quit You, Baby. I think we did that there. It was just whatever we called, you know, just crazy. And then we got done, and then we Dennis threw us in his car, and we hauled ass back to the Flying Saucer and did a showcase for the people at the IBC. You know, it was crazy.
That is so cool.
So you didn't get a chance to really digest until probably a little bit later, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they gave us a file, Dennis, and then they gave us a file. We came down here and mixed it at some studio. I think we mixed it at some studio down in Miami. They mixed it down, and then we're like, yeah, let's make an EP. And then we were in South Carolina. We did a little photo shoot at a place called Midnight Rooster in South Carolina somewhere. It was like a cool little restaurant. We did like a little photo shoot, and that was the album cover, and that's what it became. It was crazy.
That's awesome.
Super simple. Dennis paid for the whole thing, so
Wow.
Yeah.
And just so you know, ladies and gentlemen, it can take months or years sometimes to do an album. Mr. Tim O'Donnell can do it in an hour.
No way, dude. It's like
When you're in Sun Studios.
oh, when you what? Like,
Because you're being fueled by that amazing, whatever it
Yeah,
is that's
energy.
in there.
well, that's how that's the way they did it. You know, that's the way they.
Yeah,
did
that's
it.
the way they did it.
Yeah, they just went in there and
Step
killed
up, right?
it. Yeah,
Yeah, did you probably didn't take the studio tour that we did.
I didn't take a studio tour. We just walked in the back door, went through the engineering room,
Yeah.
and then stepped down in there and
Yeah.
drum set up, and I played through the Cocaine Dude's amp, and
Right.
everybody just plugged into something, and we just played.
So when we were in there, Larry Mullins from U2 had donated his own drum set. He was like, because U2 went in there and they recorded, and he's like, my drums have never sounded better. Like, I'm going to leave them here, never move them. We're going to come back and record drums here every time.
Wow,
And they're still there. Nobody's ever moved them.
that's
So
crazy.
when were you there?
2008. I want to say 2008 was when we did that.
Maybe.
Okay. It was probably very soon after,
Might have been
maybe
his-
the next session.
Yeah.
But you walk in there, and the guide is telling you, like, this is who did this here. This is who did that there.
Well, you see all the pictures on the wall, dude, and then
Yeah.
and you're like, I'm like, what the?
And they tell the story of how Elvis got his start in that room.
Uh-huh.
And he would hang out, and he would go and talk to the secretary in the front, who actually ran the whole place, but she was a secretary because it was the 50s. And the guy who ran the whole place was like, yeah, we need a vocalist. We need, and we're like, oh, this Elvis guy. He's like, he's just, fuck that kid. He's like, he's just annoying. Like, we're not doing that. And so finally, she talks to him. She's like, and they do a session with Elvis, and it wasn't happening.
Uh-huh.
It just wasn't happening. And the owner of the studio went out to have a smoke, and Elvis could tell, like, this was his only chance, and he was fucking it up. So he started running around, jumping off of everything, singing "That's All Right, Baby."
That's all right, baby or mama.
That's all right, Mama. Is
Yeah.
that what it is? That's all right,
That's
Mama.
all right, mama. Yeah.
And he's just being a cartoon of himself and freaking out and screaming that song at the top of his lungs. And the guy's like, "Oh wait, mate, this mic could work."
Arthur
They went
Cronin.
in and they pressed record, and that was his first single.
That was his first single. We did it. We did a version of Mystery Train there, which was Junior Parker and the Blue Flames. It was Floyd Murphy was the guitar player, Matt Murphy's brother. Killer version of that tune. Supposedly Matt told me that he named them the Blue Flames, Junior Parker and the Blue Flames. I don't know. Everybody says they did stuff. But anyway, it was funny because I tried to figure out the guitar lick for years. I was down in Miami with Matt one time, and going back to like people giving you advice. I was like, Matt, I think I got that lick. I'm like, playing this lick. He just like looks at me. He goes, that ain't it. And I said, well, what is it? And he goes, I don't know. I ain't my brother, but that ain't it. That's what he told me. It was just like, I love that stuff,
That's awesome.
Because Matt gave me some wingers, dude. Matt gave me some zingers from time to time, dude.
I bet.
We were at Blue Note, playing at the Blue Note. He asked we were up there. We got all dolled up. We were all dressed up. Matt just kind of came out with his hat and his Blues Brothers shirt on. And he asked the sound guy, like third song in, he goes, hey, can I get a little bit of less as Tim's shirt in my monitor? It's just like
Oh, that is
like
hilarious.
classic shit, dude.
That is
like,
hilarious.
That's classic shit. Like when you hear that kind of shit, it's like, yeah, this guy still got it, dude. Like, so.
So, oh man. So
Yeah,
this
so
is-
these guys, they went through the recording process. They had the drums on the far end by the front of the building. And then they had the bass player and the guitarist and the piano player over near the drums, and then the bass player and the guitarist, and then the vocalist, and they captured it with a stereo mic near the control room.
Yeah.
Single microphone, all of that stuff.
All that stuff they did.
Yeah.
They close mic'd everything when we were there. They close mic'd the drums and then close mic'd the guitar. And then I did sing live. There was no overdubs on that. But that was, I was the only person that sang in the band. The other thing that sucked about that, I got food poisoning the day before I got there.
Ooh.
And I was like throwing up for like 2 days, so my voice was just totally like the whole time on that record. So I don't really like to listen to it that much. But then again, it's so nostalgic to me. Sometimes I'm like, that was fucking cool, you know? Like, you know what I mean?
That
It's
is
like,
cool.
Yes.
I didn't get to record there. You're awesome.
So pretty cool.
So go get some food poisoning
I'm
and then
gonna
go
go,
record.
I'm gonna go puke all night and then go to Sun
Oh, that
Studios.
was a brutal drive, man. That was a brutal drive up there that year.
It was like Snowmageddon. This early
When we were
you know,
there,
yeah.
we were there for the. I you know, as you know, I represented this area for the IBCs, and we got there. We left Florida. It was 67 degrees. We got to Memphis. It was 7 degrees,
Yeah.
and it was like, wow.
I can't remember what year we went there one year, and my car blew up, and my buddy gave me his truck with a topper to drive up there, and our bass player quit. That was the first year we went. Our bass player quit the day before we were supposed to leave. So I got Tony Venturini from Orlando. He was a friend of mine. I said, Tony, dude, can you just come play this gig with us, dude? I'll figure out how to pay you. So we picked him up in Orlando and we got up there, but it was the same thing. It snowed crazy. There was a bus station and he had a new Nissan Titan pickup truck. And we stayed in an Airbnb instead of staying at a hotel, so we'd have our own place because I needed to rehearse before we did the gig with Tony.
Yeah.
Dude, we went out. We did donuts for like 2 hours in that parking lot. In my buddy's truck, we just had a bottle of Jim Beam, just like just like raging in that truck. It was so fun, dude.
That is awesome.
Tony's a bad dude.
Aren't you glad, Tracy, we didn't do that in yours?
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, no, actually, we kind of did, right? It was how icy the roads were.
It was so cold.
Yeah.
I didn't even want us to use our vehicles because I figured like the oil had gelled up and the engine would just go clank and be done. So like first day of going in and out we paid $200 in Uber fees.
Yeah.
Just for all of us to get there and back. And I'm like, well, maybe we should warm up the engine a little bit.
There was a lady. It was different. It was another year we were there for something going on. It was Rebecca and I. We were staying across the river in West Memphis, and we came back over to Memphis, and we're walking down the street. And this lady runs up to we played some show somewhere, and then this lady runs up to Rebecca, and she spins Rebecca around. I didn't know whether to punch the lady or not. I didn't know she was getting robbed. She looks at Rebecca, and she goes, "You got nice hair." And Rebecca's like, "Thank you." And she goes, "Don't do crack." And then she just walked off. It's just like, what, dude? What was that? Like,
Did we get that?
same thing?
Same thing. Well, she didn't say don't do crack.
Yeah.
She grabbed my arm and
Spun you around? Might have been the same lady.
Probably the same one.
Maybe,
Crack was
probably the
super
same
easy.
lady.
That's funny.
The crack was super easy to get. I own it now.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Jeez.
I was wondering who was saying that.
I know, it's like new
drop.
drops.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Anyway,
So-
but yeah, Memphis has always been a wild place when we went there. It's a funny place.
So, dude, I know we could talk all night. You know that, right?
Yeah,
So we can still keep
we tend to.
we can still keep recording and hang out, but we should put a button in the podcast and we can still hang out and shoot some shit. So Tim, thank you for coming on. This
you
has been
for
an
having
awesome.
Yeah, this has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
It's good to hang out with you, man.
Shit, yeah, dude.
This is exactly what we want to have is like local musicians come in, hang out, share some stories, camaraderie, and how to help the community all together, right? And that's something that we've been trying to, what we really believe in. We all live here, we're all part of it. So, do you got any kind of upcoming shows here? Mid January, end of January timeframe?
We're just doing local stuff.
Okay.
You can just go to tnhband.com, shows tab, find out where we're at. I mean, I don't even know where we're at. Like I kind of look at it the week before. TNH band, the Nouveau Honkies band.
.com.
We were trying to stay in the realm of obscurity with that name, and it kind of worked and kind of didn't. And so it's what it is. So
How did you come up with the name of the band?
Eric Culbertson?
I do.
Yeah, man. I've known Eric for a long time, and Rebecca and I were driving back from South Carolina. When I first met Rebecca, it was before the band was named. It was 2000, and it was probably February 2005, and I'm sorry, February 2006, and we're driving back from South Carolina, and we stop in Savannah because we used to play at Savannah Blues with different bands I was in, and Eric used to own that club.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, back in the day. And so we pull into Savannah, and I had known that Eric had sold the club, and Eric was going through some of the stuff he was going through, and I don't think him and Stuart were playing together anymore. I think Stuart and him kind of split up. That was his drummer back in the day, and we showed up, and we go down. I'm looking for music. It was a Monday night, I think, and nothing going on. Walked down the riverfront. It was all karaoke. It was all complete bullshit.
Wow.
And I was like,
In Savannah?
I was like, this town used to be fucking happening, dude. What happened? So I'm in a really bad mood. So I get back up on the high side of the wall, and we're walking down the wall, and I'm going back to the hotel. I'm just going to get a bottle and just like get pissed. And as we're walking, I hear this guitar just like, and I'm like, that's Eric. I was like, that's Eric, man. That's Eric, dude. And Rebecca's like, who's Eric? I was like, let's go. So we went down the little spiral staircase that goes down, and we went to the Fiddler Crab right on the river.
Oh, yes. I've been there.
And he was playing at the Fiddler Crab, dude, killing it. And then he took a break. He's like, what you been doing? I was like, dude, it was after the hurricanes in 2004 and 5. And I was like, dude, like, I hadn't been playing music at all. I hadn't been doing shit. I probably hadn't seen him since like 2000. And then we were out back talking, and I was like, you know, I just met Rebecca. We're looking for some places to work. What's going around up and down the coast? Like, this place is still open. He was telling me places that were still open. And then I was like, whatever happened to Dave Cece in Tallahassee? And he goes, oh, they turned it into the Bradford Blues Club. And I was like, what's it called? He's like, Bradford Blues. Some new guy bought it. It's not Dave Cece Club no more. Dave Cece Club used to be an old Chitlin Circuit venue, like north of Tallahassee, and it was a giant oak trees. They cooked mullet under the trees, and it was like everybody played there. Like everybody in the day played there. And I ended up playing there with the Llamas, played there with Eddie Kirkland, played there with, I think I played there with Miller and Redbone, and like just, it was a blues place, straight up blues place. And I was like, so it's called Brett. He goes, yeah, it's some kind of pseudo Nouveau Honky joint now. And when he said Nouveau Honky, I was like, that's kind of a funny name right there. And then Rebecca was like, that'd be a good name for a band. So we came home, and that's when we came home. Rebecca and I were working for about a year as a duo, and then we hired some guys, and we turned into Nouveau Honkies.
Oh, good job, Eric.
Eric gets credit for that, whether he
Rock
likes it or
on.
not. So
He probably don't even know that.
yeah, he knows it.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he knows it. He denies it, but he knows it. He's a killer guitar player, dude.
Oh man, I'll never forget the first time I heard him play. It was back when I was doing sound for a living.
Yeah.
And he was playing it it doesn't exist anymore, but the amphitheater on Fort Pierce in downtown Fort Pierce.
Yeah.
I was doing monitors, and it was just like this festival. And this dude walks up on stage like the most unassuming,
Playing his Trini.
comes up with this beat up, like
Super.
the most worst shaped super I've ever seen in my whole life. And the band just gets up there, and I'm like, okay, well, clearly these guys are professional. They didn't even look at me for nothing. I'm doing monitors for them. They just were like, Garrett was just like, and they just bam, and they were freaking awesome,
Dude.
I was blown away.
Like late 90s, early 2000, Eric, when Stuart was with him, it was like an extension of the Band of Gypsies to me.
Yeah, it was
Like
unbelievable.
if you took Jimi Hendrix and the Band of Gypsies would have became a band and Jimmy wouldn't have died, I really feel that's what the vibe I was getting from Eric and Stuart, those two guys, because they had different bass players. From time
this
to time.
was mid-late 90s.
Yeah, he was on fire. And then he sounded like fucking Joe Cocker when he sang, too.
Exactly.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It was like, yeah.
Yeah, it was
So,
clearly they were like playing every day in a different city.
yeah, they were killing,
Yeah,
dude.
I was like,
That band was
who
on
the hell
fire,
is this
dude.
guy? I love this
Yeah.
guy.
I saw him. He did a show. It was supposed to be Eric, Kebmo, and BB King at the Fort Lauderdale Blues Festival, maybe. And so Eric played, and it killed it. He tried to do a version of Angel Flying Too Close to the Ground by Willie Nelson that afternoon, and it just, like, that angel flew too close to the ground. It crashed. It was terrible. It was bad. But he was trying to, like, you could tell he was trying to, like, just break out of the Freddie King, Albert Collins. You know, he was trying to break, and he had a full original record that I recorded at Bamboo back then too. But it was crazy.
Yes, I've got that.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then Kev Mo was supposed to be next, and then, but he didn't show up. So BB, there was a big pause, and then BB came up. And the whole reason I went to the show was because I wanted to see Kev Mo, because I saw him on, who's the dude with the big hair? Conan O'Brien show.
Yeah.
Kev Mo was on the Conan O'Brien show. And I was like, dude, I want to meet that guy. And I saw that he was going to be in Fort Lauderdale. So I went down there, and then Kev Mo ends up closing the night after BB.
Oh, wow.
And I saw him behind the stage. He got this old chunk of plywood, and they stuck a mic under it. And he just stomped on this thing and went and just finger picked. And the whole place was up dancing, dude. She just wants to dance. And I was like, this is a bad motherfucker. So I went to the side of the stage. Remember how I told you could get in before pre-9/11?
Yeah.
I walked up to the guy, security guy.
I'm Bill Murray.
Yeah, basically that's what I did, you know? He goes, oh, okay, opens the door, lets me in. I'm like, shit, yeah, dude. So I go back. Kev Mo's standing with all their people with their badges. His guitar tech and tour manager at the time, a guy named Clayton Gibb, comes up. Clayton comes up to me. He's like, what can I do? And I was like, my name's Tim O'Donnell. I need to talk to Kevin. And he's like, oh, okay, just hold on a second. I'll get him. I'm like 20-something years old, right? And then Kevin comes over. He's like, hey, what can I do for you? And I said, dude, I heard that all your shit got lost on the plane here. If you're ever in Florida and you need anything, dude, here's my card. Just call me. I'll like whatever you need for gear. I'll just hook you up, because I was dealing in vintage guitars at the time. And sure enough, like 3 months later, he calls me out of nowhere. And it's one of those calls you think it's a prank call, like your buddy's calling you. Right. I'm like, come on, dude, get out of here, Josh. Like that ain't, you know. He's like, you know. And he's like, I want you to build a guitar for me. And I was like, get out of here, dude. He's like, this is what I want. And I was like, all right. So I built him a guitar.
Oh, wait, you build guitars?
I used to build guitars, yeah. So I built him a guitar, and I delivered it on a gig. He played it that night, and he ended up playing that guitar for a while, and that guitar got stolen in Oakland Airport. Yeah. And he called me, and he called it the knob. He's like, Tim, the knob got stolen. The case was there, guitar was out of the case, Oakland Airport. This is when he still lived in LA. And I was like, shit, man. And I was like, well, I'll kind of put words out to everybody. He goes, I need another one right away. And I was like, I don't know if I can build another one. That was like this fucking Madeira that I got from this Cuban guy in South Beach, dude, out of his shed. You know, there's no more of that wood, you know. He goes, well, do the best you can. So I built him a second guitar and sent it to him. Had it done quick, sent it to him. And he didn't really like it. He didn't really like the second guitar. Yeah. So I get a call like 8 months later. This guy named Tony from San Diego, phone rings. I pick up the phone. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, hey, I got this guitar here. It has your name on it, blah, 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 blah. And serial number's this. It's got this weird switch. I'm just wondering about the electronics in it. And I was like, is it this color? Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yeah. And I said, I was like, I'm just going to be honest with you, dude. You could hang up on me. I have no idea who you are. I don't have your name. I don't know where you are. I know you're calling from California, but that guitar's stolen. And he goes, oh shit, man, I bought it from a secondhand store. And I was like, what'd you get it for? He goes, I bought it for $1,200. And I was like, well, that guitar belongs to a guy named Kev Mo. He's like, get the fuck out of here. I'm a huge Kev Mo fan. So I was like, give me your information. I'll call you right back. So I called Clayton Gibb. I was like, Clayton, I found the knob. And he's like, where is it? I said, it's down in San Diego. And this is when Kevin was still in LA. He goes, let me call Kevin. So he called Kevin. And then Kevin calls me back, dude, I'm going to drive down there and get it. But I'll make sure that it's worth that guy's while. So I don't know what happened after that. I just leave the phone off. Like next Tuesday comes through. I get a call from that guy, Tony. And he's like, dude, that guy is the coolest dude I've ever met in my life. He sent a driver down with a car. They picked me up. They brought me back to LA. I got to see Kev Mo play with Bonnie Raitt and Vince Gill. Side stage. He put me up in a hotel. He paid me $1,200 back for the guitar. And then he gave me a car ride back home. And he goes, thank you so much. That was one of the coolest experiences in my life.
Wow.
And that's Kev Mo. That's how cool that fucker is, dude.
Wow.
So So down the road, so Kev sends me back the second guitar that he didn't like, the second one I built.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to buy a house. This is like 2002 or 3. And I'm self-employed, can't get a loan. I'm dealing with this like loan sharky dude up in New York. He's like, oh, you need to show some more money here. And he wants to charge me like 11% interest. I was like, dude, I can't do it, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, what do you do again? I was like, I'm in the music business. I sell vintage guitars and like do stuff like that. And he's like, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, who have you built guitars for? And I said some of the people I built guitars for. And then I said Kev Mo. And he goes, my girlfriend loves that guy. And I was like, hold on a second. Let me give you a call. I was like, how much? How much she love him? She goes, dude, she wanted to see him forever. So I said, give me a second. So I go online. Boom, Kev's going to be in New York in like 2 months. So I call Kevin. I was like, Kevin, can you do me a huge favor? I'm going to send you this guitar back. I want you to sign it. Send it back to me. I'm going to send it to this dude. You got to get his girl backstage passes. And he's going to give me a loan on a house. He's like, sure, shit, yeah, dude, I'll do it. That's how I bought my first house.
Oh, wow.
So,
oh, rock on.
crazy shit, you know?
Rock on. Well, it pays to know people, that's for sure.
That's part of like the crazy part of like this business, the people that are just so fucking cool, man, and so generous and so nice.
I need me a guitar built.
What do you need?
Well, I've got the Kevin McLaughlin Band logo.
Mm-hmm.
And I need a guitar made that looks like the logo.
Let me see the logo. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll show it to you.
Yeah.
It's in here somewhere.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, it's on here.
That's the logo.
Shit. So you need the guitar to look like that.
Yeah.
It's almost like
It's a road sign.
like an Irwin in a weird way.
Like a fat SG with the points shaved off.
With the point down there.
And all the shit he gives me, right? Who's looking out for you,
That
Kevin?
is awesome.
It's almost like one of the Garcia Irwin, like the
but
the BC Rich,
the same
horns.
shape as like an interstate road sign.
Yeah, we can do that for you.
Rock on.
What size is that guitar? Because it's almost as big as
No,
a
it'll
Captain
be-
America's shield.
Is it something you want to play all the time, or just something you kind of
It's
want
something to play live for show.
on some
Mahogany.
songs? Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to use it all the time, but
Okay.
something for show.
I'm just being honest. It's hard to build a guitar that takes over the guitars that you really like.
No, I don't expect it to be a magical thing.
You understand what I'm saying?
I built guitars. I get it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
When I build custom guitars, I just tell people it's either going to work or
it
it's
could be
not.
a magic
It's like-
or it could be trash, and I know it. I've done it. So
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's
I
like-
want it to be decent so that I could play a couple songs on it.
Yeah,
and,
Oh, we could totally do that. But
yeah,
But
cool.
So
Yeah, play like a couple
Shit.
of signature tunes with
I got
it.
a neck for it right now. If it's a bolt-on neck, I got a neck for this guitar.
Yeah, it would
That'll
have
work
to be
perfect.
a bolt-on neck.
I got a
It's
perfect
the
bolt-on
easiest
neck.
thing. I like big, wide, fat necks, baseball bats cut in half. That's what I like.
I got a perfect neck for this guitar right now that's sitting right in my shop.
Yeah, a friend of mine.
The headstock actually looks exactly like the back end of that.
Oh, yeah?
Like it would go like that.
Yeah, a friend of mine gave me some really good advice. He's like, everybody likes the thin necks, the little necks.
Okay.
And he's like, he's grabbing a neck and there's like this much air. He's like, see all that air in there?
Doesn't
Why
help.
wouldn't you fill that with wood?
Fill it with wood.
Makes a better tone. I'm like, you know what? That's a great idea.
Makes a better tone and makes your hand not so tired.
Makes a better tone. Makes the neck more solid. It's better in every way. And ever since then, I like the baseball bat necks.
Yeah. So I like baseball necks. So
Well, there you go.
A two-hander.
No, I'm used to dealing with something huge with just one hand.
Anyway, so Tim, thanks for coming on the podcast.
thank you. We've been going way too long here. I digress.
So, oh my God, this is a great, yeah. So, like we said,
Oh,
there,
yeah. So it's such a pleasure, man.
So, so thanks for tuning into this podcast. Check out the B3 Podcast Network. That's what you got to search for to find our show, Riffs and Rhythms, Drums and Rums, Jams and Cocktails. Tune in the Brad Show Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. live. He had Vern Dazel, a live performance on the show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And was great. So it was great that, we're all trying to, again, build something, support, and all these things, bring everything together. So,
Support the musical community on the Treasure Coast. And
Oh yeah.
make it better for everyone.
you got a couple things coming up here, midweek?
I
mid-Jan?
do. I've got, I have no idea what I'm doing. Just like Tim, I don't know what I'm doing unless I'm looking at my schedule. So what I do is I just type in show here on my calendar, and What I've got is
You got another Rising Star shows coming up?
the Rising Star concert series continues. We've got a band that's going to be playing on January 24th, TBA. I'll be back at Hop Life on the 17th of January.
Okay. All right.
I will be performing with my daughter Freya at Hop Life again on the 26th. And then in February, I'll be back at the Hoffman, back at Hop Life. I'm going to be playing at the Martin County Fair on February 20th.
Okay.
Sweet.
With the Kevin McLaughlin Band. That's going to be a lot of fun. Big stage.
Oh, yeah.
All kinds of fun. We've got to get a camera crew in there.
You got a prize pig trying to get a blue ribbon?
Yes, I'm going to bring it up on stage with me, and I'm going to cut it right in half while all the kids are looking.
Oh, wow.
I love the pigs at the fair. I just go there to pet the pigs, too. That's all I do.
The pigs. I spent a lot of time at county fairs. Mm-hmm. There's lots of fun to be had at county fairs. I can tell you
fun.
stuff that yeah. I'm not even going to say. Stuff you shouldn't even talk about gets done.
We
at
can
county
chat a
fairs.
little bit more either off camera or for the Patreon stuff.
right.
So yeah, let's try to land this mothership down here. So
Sorry.
hey man, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. So definitely great stories, great conversation. I'm going to make sure I'm definitely track you guys down to see what you guys perform. Come out and see the shows, and this is and then. This coming, this year, like I said, Kevin mentioned, we got plans for more festivals, more events, and we're trying to get real creative. So
yeah, the Nouveau Honkies will most certainly play at the next
and
Riffs and Rhythms Festival. As soon as we have a date, we'll let you know.
Please give us a holler, man. It'd be fun.
Oh, yeah.
We got to have you on there.
This is part of it, right? We want people to come on. We want everybody to kind of be all involved in what we're trying to do, and that's kind of the way for us to. We want to vet, feel, vibe. For anything we want to do with the shows, right? Like the festival, right?
Yeah.
And other stuff that we want to do as well. So,
rock on.
Bring people. So, all right. So
thank you for listening to the Riffs and
Rhythms podcast. And apparently, you guys have not sent enough Patreon there. We're still without air conditioning.
We're here in the Swedish sauna.
So, yes, right. Yeah. Where's Patrick? So,
and thank you so much for listening. 25 is the year that success will arrive. And we can't have that without you. So thank you for watching. We will see you next week.
cheers.
Thank you.
Good night, all.